afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Insight Exchange Show. This is a project born out of the incredible folks in the Inside Quest Exchange community on Facebook, a group created by fans of the formerly Inside Quest show hosted by Tom Bilyeu, which has now turned into an amazing company called Impact Theory. Check them out on the interwebs. Since the creation of the group, it has become an astonishing place for open and minded learners from all over the world to congregate and exchange their ideas, insights, and amazing experiences with each other, and to help each other become the best version of themselves. Speaking of impact theory, the man joining us today needs no introduction as his list of accomplishments speaks for itself. However, for those few of you who may not know who he is, allow me to briefly toss a few of his notables out there. Co-founder and CEO of Impact Theory, a company whose stated mission is to free people from the matrix, which we'll be getting to in a minute, and build a mission-based communities and companies both focused on solving meaningful challenges. Also co-founder of Quest Nutrition, an incredible company whose noble goal is to end metabolic disease and actually puts their money where their mouth is on that. And he's on the innovation board of the XPRIZE Foundation. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of how much impact this guy is bringing to the table. I urge you to drop this man's name into the Google after this. His litany of activities is truly inspiring. Without further ado, I would like to introduce the man, the legend, the master Jedi himself, Tom Bilyeu. Good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon, Travis. Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. I really can't express. There's just so many words to try to express this, but I will simply try to say and provide a humble thank you for everything you and yours have done for all the people over the world. It's really, truly inspiring.
Dude, it really is our honor. And I have to say, like, we are all so grateful for you guys at Inside Quest Exchange. Like, you guys have just been amazing, and watching the way that you guys support each other and help each other is really astonishing and such a cool example of, you know, the kinds of communities that we want to help foster. And so it's so cool.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is an incredible and great community. I'm so happy to be a part of it and help out and provide as much value as I can and we can for yourself and everybody else. To dive right in, one of the biggest things that you speak a lot about, and you speak a lot about the Matrix and it being a metaphor for the world of the fixed mindset, which Carol Dweck talks about and that so many of us are stuck in, right? In fact, the driving purpose behind impact theory is to literally free people from the Matrix. And you talk a lot about freeing people, and you talk about the ways that you can do that, and what you can be doing once you're freed and once you've unjacked, as it were. But one thing that I think is really important is to know where you're going. You have to know where you came from, right? So, why do you think the Matrix exists in the first place, and does it need to exist in the modern world?
I think that the human mind just has a propensity to try to stay safe, and in trying to stay safe, it doesn't encourage bold, audacious moves. It encourages safety above all else. And I think that maybe historically that would have really served us, but in a modern context is not very useful. And when you realize that, you know, being protected from being ostracized from the group for saying something stupid or for failing or whatever, you know, 100,000 years ago looks very different than it looks today. And so seeing people hold themselves back, having all these limiting beliefs, not believing in themselves, not recognizing neuroplasticity and their ability to grow and develop new skills, not only is like tragic on a human to human level, but when you really stop and think about what the world could be if more people were out there doing what you're doing and connecting with other people and trying to build something that matters and chasing their dreams and understanding that the chasm that stands between them and their dreams is the skill set that is required to execute against that. That's just what I want to help bring into the world. And it changed my life dramatically to realize that. And, you know, I think there's two kinds of people. One that learns something and, you know, wants to keep it a secret. And then one that learns something is like, oh my God, I have to tell like anybody who will listen, because this has had such a big impact on my life, and I fall into the latter camp.
That's incredible. That's and it's so true. I mean, you know, anthropologically for thousands of years, we'd always been in the fight or flight mode, right? They're doing the things that are going to serve us right now, so that way we don't get killed by a lion or something to that effect, right? You know, but as we as technology grows and as we start to learn more and really understand what the world actually is as opposed to what we fear, it gives us the opportunity to really start explaining who we are, and so sort of get rid of those like crazy fallacies that really don't serve us anymore. Do you see that as we go forward and as we grow as a species and really start to understand more of the universe, that we're going to be able to say at a societal level and or at a civilization level actually be able to be completely free of the matrix and just be completely wiped?
Once you get into augmentation, then yes. And I think once we get into augmenting the human brain and we really get into transhumanism, we're going to have to answer some pretty profound questions. Like, once you can override biological impulses, so for instance, the desire for safety or fear, anxiety, like we will be able to override those. Now, it may not be in the next 100 years, it may be 1,000 years or 10,000 years, but at some point, we're going to be able to override that. And when that happens, everything that you program into the system becomes a choice. And what are we going to choose? That to me is fascinating. And I was just interviewing Jason Silva on Impact Theory. And one of the questions that I asked him was pure inside of the singularity, which is the moment at which things change so rapidly that we can no longer predict what it looks like. And even though, like, I get it, the whole notion of the singularity is that you can't see inside it and you can't predict because the change is so rapid, it's still fun to prognosticate and to say, what does that look like? And I think that, humans will not be able to stop themselves from removing everything that they consider detrimental. But just like we're seeing in robotics, emotion, feeling actually plays a very powerful role in decision making. And for people that have had brain trauma and they no longer experience emotions, they cannot make a decision because there's no longer anything to tip the scales in one way or the other to say have a burger versus chicken, because we actually use those emotional impulses to make decisions. So, and they're now looking at robotics and AI and saying, do we need to actually program in feeling? Should robots feel? Should AI contemplate things emotionally? And we may find that they have to, in order that you have to give them some sort of code or way to make these value judgments. So it'll be fascinating.
That's incredible. And that's the I guess the ideological discussion is whether it's technology that's going to overtake that method or that methodology or ideology first, or should it be something that we try to educate out first, right? So is it going to be in a situation where we're going to reach essentially the singularity, we're going to reach that that interconnectedness way before that, before a point where we maybe philosophically or to something to that effect where we actually reach it, right? So I mean, you're saying basically that we're gonna reach that singularity, we're gonna reach that level of technology first, but before that's even gonna matter.
I think, well, like anything, it's going to be clumsy. So to your point, I think it will be somewhat awkward and we'll sort of stumble into it. But I think that what's going to happen is it'll be gradual steps along the way. And so I think people see it as an us versus them. But as Jason Silva was talking about on Impact Theory, he was saying that, look, it's not us versus them. It's us, right? We're going to evolve into that. We're going to take human evolution into our own hands. And yes, it'll be fast. And yes, it'll be clumsy. And yes, it may be scary from today's perspective, but it actually is going to evolve. So it isn't like a binary, we wake up tomorrow and there's robots and AI everywhere, right, or even transhumans for that matter. It's going to be a progress, and it's happening right now. We had Moran Cerf on the show, and he's an amazing neuroscientist. And he was talking about how what they're doing right now is they're, for somebody that has, a real significant problem with their brain, they can actually insert a chip, if you will, or a device that's reading your neurological patterns. And then when the part of the brain decays so far that it's no longer functional, that they then put the chip in that replicates your own unique neuronal firing patterns, which is really, really interesting and hints at maintaining the uniqueness that we all have, even as we evolve and begin experimenting with synthetic biology and actual machine biology interfaces. So it's going to get pretty interesting, but I'm excited about it, and I remain very optimistic.
Oh man, it's gonna be a wild ride to the singularity, that's for sure.
Yes.
It's crazy. Well, Tom, I want to be conscious of your time, and I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes to come on show and talk to us. And once again, thank you for everything that Impact Theory and you yourself and everybody on your team is doing. You guys are doing an incredible job so far, and I'm really, really excited, and we're all excited to see where everything goes. So thank you so much. This was a blast, just getting a few minutes to talk to you about that.
Absolutely, man. It was my pleasure. And, you know, again, like, keep supporting each other. You guys are such an amazing community. What an honor to be involved with you guys. And yeah, just thank you guys for everything that you do, especially for each other. It's incredible to see.
Yeah, Tom, absolutely. And it's been an awesome journey with the IQX community so far. So thank you, and thank you all for helping each other, for providing value to each other, for just taking 5 minutes to just say a few things and leave a few comments and really make somebody else's day. And sometimes I even have trouble just quantifying the amount of value just a simple comment can leave. So it makes such a difference. Thank you all so much, and thank you all for tuning in. And Tom, on behalf of myself and the IQX community, thank you so much. And if there's anything that we can do for you guys, all the stuff that we're already doing, please let us know. We'd be happy to help.
Absolutely, man, for sure. And I look forward to seeing you guys online.
Sounds good. See you then, Tom. Thank you.
Take care.
You as well.